All right, good morning, everybody, and happy Tuesday. Today, we are continuing to discuss Jordan. Jordan is one of our favorite destinations, partially because it's got just a blockbuster slate of things to see, but also because we have one of the most delightful guides. We are so fortunate to have a wonderful local guide in Jordan who just is absolutely fun to hang out with, but very knowledgeable as well. And today we are going to have a nice little chat with our friend Mohammed. Good morning, Mohammed.
Good morning, everyone.
So, Mohammed, you're coming to us from not Amman, right? Are you at home?
Yeah, I'm at home, but I live in Madaba. It's a very
Yeah,
nice
Madaba. So you're
city.
kind of on the border. Yeah, you're kind of outside of Amman in Madaba, which is your beautiful city, which you took me to. I think we got falafel there once.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's like about 35 minutes far from Amman.
yeah. And also joining us this morning for the discussion is Andrew Villone, who is coming to us from Slovenia again. Good evening, Andrew.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time zone. Good middle of the night if you're watching some weird place in the world.
It's
And you look
9
like
p.m. in Jordan already, 9 p.m.
9 p.m. So it's saying good morning is almost right for you though, because it's almost bedtime. So Andrew, you look like you're in the Rum Valley. Is that
Yes,
behind you?
that is, yeah, it was like almost 2 years ago, this time. It was early March. I was there with Mohammed. It was awesome. I've been reminiscing, looking at photos recently, and talking with Chef Wafa, who I met, who we had on last night, and Mohammed. So yeah, uh, it's
Chef Wafa, by
definitely
the way, she's awesome. She's
yeah.
really
I think
cool.
she needs her own cooking show. I think
Yeah.
maybe we could have her on the new AWS channel that might be premiering later. Just kidding.
The Jordanian kitchen is a big thing now in Amman. People like to do culinary and learn how to make Jordanian food. They cook at the Jordanian kitchen for like about hour and 45 minutes, and then after that they eat whatever they cooked with Chef Wafa. Yeah, they learn cool stuff there really, and nice tips. About food, tahini, how to make this, how to make that. Lots of
Yeah.
details, a lot of fun. And they can get her email and also ask about different things later. She doesn't mind at all. She's a nice character.
She is.
Yeah.
She's really super cool. So, but we wanted to announce before we start our chat with Mohammed today that we are running Jordan in 2026. We just didn't have it on the website, so it's on the website now, and it's going to be in conjunction with the Egypt tour. So you could potentially do both, but the Jordan tour is a standalone tour. You could do just that if you want. And Andrew, tell me a little bit about the dates and all that stuff.
Okay, so the Jordan tour is going to be October 18th through the 25th. And the Egypt tour starts on the 26th. There's a day in between. It's very easy to go from Amman to Cairo. We did this last year for some of the people on our Egypt tour. Last year's one though was like a day shorter. This is like the normal full version, 7 nights, 8 days in Jordan, and that's a great time to go, right, Mohammed?
Oh yeah, I mean also nice weather,
Yeah.
especially in October, not very hot, especially when you want to visit like Rum Valley and the desert, and especially doing some walking in Petra. So this is like nice temperature at that time.
Yeah, so October is such a popular season to travel in for a good reason because it really is the perfect time to be there. So you won't be, I've been there in October before in Jordan. You won't be hot, you won't be cold. It's just kind of like absolute perfect weather. So Mohammed, how long have you been a tour guide in Jordan for? It's been a long time.
So I've been working as a tour guide for about 15 years now. I am running the groups as a tour leader for 11 years, but as a tour guide and tour leader for 15 years. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's great. Yeah. So you do all kinds of things throughout Jordan. So just kind of give us the highlights of what to see, because a lot of people I think don't even know what to see in Jordan. I'm not sure most people could even put their finger on a map and locate exactly where it's at.
True,
So
true. I mean, there's a lot of hidden jewels in Jordan, plenty of stuff, to see, but we concentrate on like the main highlights in our trip. Of course, we'll spend nice time in Amman, the capital. It's very important to see the capital, see the citadel, the old location, with the Umayyad stuff in it. It's like a big place to visit. and also downtown Amman with the Roman theater. It's important to know that Amman was a Roman city for 1,000 years, so it was called Philadelphia first before Amman. So that was the ancient name. So you can tell that it was a Roman city with a lot of monuments there, especially the Roman theater, the fountain in the middle of the street, in the middle of downtown Amman. And so we can see the museum with mainly the oldest statues that go back to 8,000 BC, 10,000 years old statues made from plaster. But Amman is a lot of fun. So we spent 2 days in Amman because from Amman we go to Jerash also. We visit Jerash. It's another Roman city. We call it Pompeii of the East. It's a nice like setup. We see the Roman theaters there. We see the Oval Plaza, the Agora, the markets, all the churches, because even Jerash became a Christian city, at that time. We have these two cities, part of the Decapolis, a lot of Roman history here. So these are like at the beginning, we cover Amman and Jerash as a main highlight. Yeah.
So I think that's going to be the theme, I think, for people. If you don't know much about Jordan, what we learn in Jordan immediately is how many ancient civilizations were in Jordan, and ones that connect to history you already know. And of course, the place I learned about that I didn't really know anything about was Petra and the civilization in Petra. So tell us a little bit about that.
So you see, as you said, different civilizations, like we were talking about Amman and Jerash and the Romans, etc. But when we go to Petra, it's like a different history, because now you go even deeper in history. You go back to the Nabataean time, even before the Greek. Those amazing people came from Arabia, and they carved a city in the mountains and made the capital, Petra, a capital of a huge kingdom that extended from Aqaba, our port on the Red Ocean, to Damascus. But this civilization existed before the Romans, way before the Romans. So we're looking at a different civilization, different era. Of course, when you mention Petra, people will be like remembering the treasury immediately. This is what they see in every postcard. They want to see the treasury, especially when they come out from the Seek, the gorge, as the in the movie in Indiana Jones. They want to see it from a certain angle. This is like the biggest highlight. But there's a lot of stuff to see in Petra. People think it's a small city, but it's a very big city. You can do 2,000 steps up and down, and maybe about like 10 miles walking in one day if you can.
That was the thing I thought was most interesting, is that of course I've seen Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and you see Petra, which is at the very, very end, and they go into it, which you can't do. But what I found fascinating is that that's our vision, is just that treasury. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, even the walk up to the treasury is so beautiful. The slot canyon you have to walk through, and we do it in the morning, and it's just such a beautiful walk. But then once you get there, it's a whole city, and there's all of these buildings carved into the rocks. I was absolutely floored the first time I went there, and I kind of already had some expectations, but it was so much bigger and so much more interesting than I thought it would be. And the Nabataean civilization, they're one that we don't really know about that much in the West, but they connected with all kinds of ancient civilizations, right?
Yeah, truly so. But also, people come back from Aqaba bewildered and astonished about the beauty of Aqaba. As you said, that like treasury is only the beginning. After that, they can go and see the royal tombs, uh, the um, the monastery. You have to climb like about 1,000 steps all the way up to the monastery to see that amazing carving. The daughter's palace, the great temple. Also churches from the Roman era, were built there later. So plenty of stuff to see. People, when they go out there, they realize that a full day is like barely enough to cover everything in Petra.
Yeah, and there's even more than that. As you told me, there's even more than just the center of the cultural city. There's many other sites you can see. I will say, just to mention to you how cool Muhammad is. So I was in Petra with him one day, and I climbed up to the top, the monastery, which is a really long climb. And I went with a part of our tour group. and we were taking pictures, and then people were sort of starting to go back down because it was getting close to the time to meet. So I get down at the bottom of the big steep climb, and I'm tired. My legs are really exhausted. And a man comes up to me and he goes, "Are you Sarah?" And I said, "Yes." He goes, "From Mohammed," and he hands me a camel. So Mohammed had arranged a camel to wait for me, and I rode that camel from the bottom of the steps all the way back to the entrance of Petra.
Yeah. Yes.
That was so cool.
It's a nice experience, adding to that, riding a camel in Petra and taking photos with the Treasury as your background. I've done that many times. This is a very nice experience.
But I will say that's one of the slickest things I've ever seen a tour guide do. That was so slick. I was not expecting it. And the guy knew exactly who I was and handed me a camel. And I'm like, okay, that right there, that's a 15 out of 10. Like, I mean, that's classy right there.
I told him you'll find the tallest girl in the group. Just go to her.
Oh, okay. You gave away my secret that I'm the tallest girl in Jordan. So, okay. So Petra is just such an incredible highlight. But I think that the other thing I really love about that tour is I love going to the Rum Valley out to Wadi Rum. And if you have ever dreamed of being Lawrence of Arabia, I'm talking about riding camels, of course, but you have your opportunity in Jordan to do the real thing because the Rum Valley, that is where they actually filmed the movie. But there was a real Lawrence of Arabia. That's an actual real story. And that man wandered around through that desert. And I think that's absolutely one of the most beautiful things we do on the tour is to explore the Rum Valley a little bit. So tell us a little bit about Lawrence of Arabia and how that connects with the Rum Valley.
So you see, our trip is not only about sights and stones, and it's about food, it's about fun, it's about information. We try to make it authentic and informative as much as possible. We talk about different types of subjects, and we cover, of course, Lawrence of Arabia. It's very important to talk about him, especially that you are in Rum Valley. Once you are there, you remember Lawrence of Arabia because he lived there for a full year and he was protected by an Arab tribe. Of course, we'll talk about tribalism in Jordan. It's very important, and in the Arab world. So he was protected by Arab tribes, and he lived there for a year and participated in the Great Arab Revolution that lasted for about 3 years. And he wrote a huge book about his experience in Rum Valley called The Seven Pillars of Wisdom, which is actually a mountain that is in the middle of Rum. It's like seven pillars. So he took the name and gave it to the book, The Seven Pillars of Wisdom. So there's a lot of information to give about Rum Valley and Lawrence and all of these things that happened in the desert, but also not to forget to mention that Rum Valley is considered as the target of sci-fi movies.
Yeah, the Martian you said was filmed there, right?
Yeah, because maybe now about 22 sci-fi movies got filmed there. It's like they call it Mars on Earth,
Yeah.
and that's why, Prometheus, Red Planet, Martian, Dune. Dune 1 and 2
Well,
also.
yes. Remember the last time that I was there, they were filming Dune, so there were
And
parts
they
of the
blocked
valley
us.
we couldn't go to. Yeah, because
Correct.
apparently Timothy Chalamet was over there, so we couldn't take our group over there. So yeah, so the Dune movies were all filmed right in the place very nearby where we camp. So that's really fun. And you've picked out an even better camp than we've had before. So tell us a little bit about the accommodations there, because we used to stay in fine little tents, but you found an even cooler place to stay.
So the UFO is like maybe the best camp I've ever seen. I mean, I've been working for like 15 years now. It's very, very deep in the desert. You don't see the streets or the buildings or whatever. And actually, it's very close to the places where Dune 1 and Dune 2 and The Martian got filmed. So it's like very close to the sci-fi-ish places, which is like really, really cool, especially at night. And also, I picked this place because it has almost zero light contamination. That's why when it's like very dark, you can see the stars in Rum Valley at night, really clear and beautiful.
Yeah, it's so amazing to go there. And I think one of the most interesting things about traveling in Jordan for me is that I just don't feel like I was very well educated about Arab culture or about the Middle East, even though I've spent a lot of time visiting Egypt, Morocco, and kind of getting to know those cultures. I feel like Jordan was such an easy and accessible place aside from all the wonderful things you see that are just really like, highlights, I just think, and especially I've always appreciated you, Mohammed, the way you really explain Arab cultures, because you were just explaining the tribalism. I did not know that. I did not know that. And as soon as you explained about how the tribalism and how they have to run it as a kingdom because the tribes, one would outnumber the other, and there's no way they could find any kind of democratic way forward that way, that was just so incredibly illuminating to me because I don't think if we've never been to the Middle East, we don't really understand the history of conflict in the Middle East until we go and we actually hear about it. So I just really appreciate you and the way you've explained that. But tell us a little bit more about how that. I just feel that's important to connect to Arab culture. I think that just really explains so much of what we see on our TVs and we just don't really understand. So the tribalism thing, tell us a little bit about that. That's so interesting.
Yes, so also we covered, these subjects to get people to know more information about the society. Um, as Arabs, we all come from tribes, and what I mean by a tribe is that all of those who belong to that tribe or members of that tribe, they came from one father who lived maybe 2,000 years ago. So they are relatives in blood over time. Now in Jordan, we have about 100 tribes. Like some of them are very big. You're talking about like 300,000 people. They relate in blood. They come from one father. Like me, for example, I have maybe about 280,000 relatives who come from one tribe called Al-Kaisi tribe. This is my tribe. They spread in Madaba and West Amman. And of course, our great grandfather Al-Kaisi lived around 800 BC. I can't count my father until that time from my father's side. Yeah. From my mom's side, my mom comes from a different tribe called the Ghassanid. So this tribe was loyal and number one ally to the Roman Empire in the time of the existence of the Roman Empire here. And I can count her fathers until 220 AD. So I come from two different tribes, my mother and my father. But what's distinguished about the tribes is that, by the way, mentioning my mother, you don't have to change, you don't actually change the name of the lady when she gets married. She doesn't change the tribal name because otherwise things get mixed up. She has to keep her name and tribal name. She doesn't take the name of the husband. So this
I like that.
yeah. So and also my daughters, they take my tribal name and they do not follow the name of their husbands, etc. So tribalism is very important. Of course, the biggest tribe, maybe around 400,000 here, Children of Rock, and the smallest tribe is the monarchy, the Hashemite, maybe like around 1,500. But like most of them are in Hijaz now, in the Arabian Peninsula. So they are like the smallest in number, but they are the monarchy of Jordan.
Yeah, and you were explaining to me once how they give the monarchy then gives the tribes turns at being the leaders of the lawmaking, so that then the lawmaking is spread out evenly amongst tribes because some tribes have a lot, like yours, and some have very few, like the Hashemites. So
Correct.
that's kind of their system of government, correct?
Correct. So what happens is that, for example, the king knows, like sometimes he picks the prime minister from certain tribe, and then the next time from another. So the prime minister is not elected. Difficult to elect him. But we have a parliament and upper house and lower house, and we have elections for the representatives every 4 years, and the cabinet is from them. But the prime minister himself is not elected, so because the king wants to give like whether small tribes or big tribes the chance to represent themselves. So
Yeah, I think that's just
yeah,
it's
he
a
grabs the
fascinating.
stick from the middle. Difficult, by the way, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought that that was really illuminating because, the tribal system, obviously, if you're from a tribe, your tribe is going to decide on an issue in one direction and then everybody's going to agree. And because they're going to vote as blocks, basically. So the way they've constructed their parliament is just really interesting because it does give minorities also the opportunity to have a voice. So it's a really clever system. So I was really impressed by that. But I think overall, the thing that impressed me the most about Jordan, and I think that's the thing I want everybody watching this to really understand, it's very modern. It's very forward thinking. It's very progressive in ways you don't expect. I mean, just basic things like let's talk about the roads. The roads are very, very nice in Jordan. I think that the roads in Jordan are nicer than in Seattle.
I heard this many times. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's lovely road stops, and the hotels are gorgeous, and we stay at some nice hotels because
Oh yeah.
Jordan, yeah, because the prices are pretty affordable. So it's not, it's almost like a luxury tour, but not at a luxury price point because we're able to do that because it's pretty affordable to do nice things there. So yeah, I mean, everything that we do on that tour is so nice. I mean, the camp, when we say camp, it's not really camping, it's glamping, right? So it's these domes in the middle of the desert, but they have bathrooms and they have nice bed linens. It's really, really nice. So that's just my takeaway from
I'm
all of
thinking
the,
of it also.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for all the travel that I've done in the Middle East, I actually think that Jordan is probably the nicest country I've been in any of the Middle Eastern countries. And of course, when I say Middle East, I also mean like North Africa as well, which isn't really the Middle East. But that's what it really has stuck with me about Jordan is how nice it is. It's very, very modern, very comfortable. It's easy to get around. The people are super, super friendly. So I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of a country we don't talk about enough that has so much to see. And it's just great. And Andrew, I just wanted to kind of turn that over to you for a second. Tell me about your impressions because you've been the one time. What would you want travelers to know about Jordan?
Well, I'll echo a lot of stuff what you said. Like, hey, I'm showing up in Amman a couple days before the tour starts. No idea really what to expect. How do I get around? Is it gonna because I've been to Morocco before, so some of the places in Morocco had Arab culture, but I knew it was like different. And otherwise, I didn't really. But it was like, oh, okay, this is easy to get from the airport there. All the roads are fine. You know, let's just say because people always want to ask about safety stuff like again it seems as safe as Europe is. It's got that easygoing vibe to it. Yeah, Mon was really nice. Plus I didn't know all the kind of ancient things there. You don't have to go outside the city to see a lot from the past. Petra, I think I was like I knew less than you did, Sarah, because I was like, here's the Indiana Jones thing. I know I'm going to see that. And then it was like, oh my God, that's like 2% of everything that's there. So I mean, that was just a wow moment. One thing that and the food's great, food's fresh. I mean, it is. I think it would be one of the easiest kind of entry points if you haven't had any kind of been to any, let's say, Middle East or Arab or Near East country. Jordan's super easy to like I think go into and not miss a beat. But it doesn't mean that there's not all these interesting cultures there. It's not like westernized. It's just kind of like that area of the world made easy for travelers.
Yeah, well, that as Andrew and I and Don, we met this winter, and we were thinking about what is sort of the theme of all of our tours, and adventure made easy, which I think is very much the tagline for
Yeah,
the Jordan tour because
Jordan. Yeah.
it's such a beautiful tour. You see things that you're going to feel like you're Lawrence of Arabia. For goodness sakes, riding a camel through Petra, it's almost ridiculous. And you have like the best companion because Muhammad is so you're actually very funny, Muhammad. That's the other thing I love about you. We're being very serious today, and we're chatting up the tour. But let me just say, like Muhammad is a riot. You're very fun to be with, so I do appreciate your company.
And
um,
I would like to tell people that Jordan is very safe, and
it
very
is.
welcoming people, very friendly, and like maybe most of them speak good English. You can get by with anyone in a conversation. So I mean, there's nothing really to worry about. You can walk in downtown Amman like at 3 a.m. No one bothers you with anything at all.
Yeah, it really is, and I would say it's very welcoming to Americans. Would you agree?
Oh yes, of course, no doubt.
Yeah. So I just really think if you have ever had an inkling to want to check out the Middle East or North Africa or Arab culture, Jordan feels like by far the best place to do it because it's so easy, it's so comfortable, and just the stuff you see there's amazing. So one of the cultural highlights, in my opinion, is the food. And of course, we had Chef Wafa on yesterday, who cooked. I think she cooked upside down chicken, which I love, as you know. But my favorite restaurant that you've taken me to is that one that's in Petra, where we have all the little dishes. So are the little dishes, is that a normal part of a Jordanian meal?
Yeah, so this is like mezze. We call it mezze. So,
Mm.
you taste like different types of salads, hot or cold, before you get to the main meal. So, what the funny part about it, when I take my like friends, American friends there, they get stuffed before the main meal comes, and they tell me like I can't even finish.
Yeah, we always have to warn people, this is not dinner.
Exactly. This is
This is
not the
the
main meal.
appetizer. Yeah, no, I mean, we really have to give people that warning because it's so good. And they have the fresh pita hot out of
Yeah.
the oven that's like a big bubble and all the wonderful dips. And I mean, for me, that could be dinner because I think it's
And
just
even
fantastic.
and even the bread is very delicious and like smells nice because it came from the bakery like now, and they start eating bread and I tell them please don't eat bread because like there's a lot of food coming.
Yeah, the food is really such a highlight. And honestly, of all of the Middle Eastern countries or North African countries I've been to, I actually think Jordan has the best food. And I'm not saying that just to be nice to you, Mohammed, because I really do think that. I mean, I think Egyptian food is fine, but it's not a highlight for me. I think Moroccan food is good, but it gets pretty repetitive with the tagines. I think that anything that I've had in, Dubai, for example, or something, I mean, that's usually what not American, that's more American food. But Jordan, I mean, and Israeli food is also very good, but Jordan, I don't know what it is. I feel like the ingredients are super fresh and you have some really unique dishes too that are just so flavorful. So what are some of your favorite dishes that you like to serve with your groups?
So my favorite dish is mantab, the national dish. It comes with lamb and goat milk, etc. But it's very important to mention that we are very vegetarian friendly people. Meaning it's not difficult to like find vegetarian food in Jordan. We are like considered semi-vegetarian. We have like a plenty of types of salads and fattoush and tabbouleh and this and that, like as vegetarian food, plus like one dishes. So no worries for like vegetarian people, even vegan. But what you get in Jordan, you get a variety of food because we come from the Mediterranean kitchen. The Mediterranean cuisine is very huge. So everything
Yeah.
that we make here in Jordan is part of it. So it's kind of similar to the Lebanese, Palestinian, and even the Syrian food. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really, really fresh stuff and you get a lot of, tomato salads and you get a lot of, I mean, really, when I think of Jordanian food, I think more about the vegetarian stuff because it's so good with all the dips and things. So
But
it's just wonderful. And the one thing that we do, I don't, are we still doing this? The where you cook in the ground?
oh yes, of course, this is in the desert. Yeah,
That is so fun.
the underground oven. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there are like I must try things like through the road, maybe like trying different types of food. Plus, the upside down, the makluba with Chef Wafa, and like she will teach people how to make mutabbal and hummus and tahini and all of these things. But also in Madaba, we go to a cool place. Maybe Andrew will remember. There's a very very nice local place there, and he
Mm.
makes local food from Madaba also. And also when we get to Petra, we have lunch with a family also. So like a certain lady will fix us food and she will invite us to her house and we'll eat with her. I think Andrew met Muhammad there, once. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think meals with family is always a fantastic experience. Not just because the cooking's super authentic, but I mean, that is such a great way to kind of have a cultural exchange. But yes, I do remember the restaurant we went to in your hometown, and also like a really good coffee shop there.
Oh yeah.
Um, like that was like because we had some free time, and you and I went there for a coffee. So yeah, which of course, like you also, I mean, I think one of the things that maybe makes Jordanian food a little different than, I don't know, let's say Lebanese and some other Middle Eastern foods is you do have, we were talking about this with Chef Wafa yesterday. You have more things like cardamom and cinnamon and other spices in there that aren't everywhere, and that makes it unique tasting too. So yeah, yum yum. Two stomachs up for me for Jordanian food.
We will have fun also and like trying different types of food in Jordan.
Yeah, it
And
really is
and
fun because,
yeah,
no, go ahead,
I was just
Andrew.
gonna say super easy, super easy. I was just gonna say yeah, super easy to go vegetarian there. But like kind of vegetarian the authentic way. You don't have to like substitute stuff. They just have all those great vegetarian vegan dishes. So yeah, it's a healthy place.
It is. And actually, I don't know if we're still doing this, but the one lunch that I think is also really fun, and this sounds so tacky, is are we still eating at the Holiday Inn? Or do we not do that anymore, Mohammed?
Lunch? No, we don't do this anymore. Lunch? No.
I really enjoyed the Holiday Inn lunch. It was really good. And we did like a buffet there. But we still do, of course, the Dead Sea. And the Dead Sea, I think, is a really interesting thing for people because you've heard about it. But when you actually get in the Dead Sea, it's really good for your skin, actually, especially if you have any skin problems. People that have psoriasis, for example, will go and stay for weeks and then they will be completely healed. So it's really a kind of a fascinating thing. But you get in your swimsuit, you go into the water, and the water is almost like it's almost like magnetic or something. You get in there and you can't go underwater. It's so weird. You get in and you're like immediately floating. We actually had a guy who kind of panicked because he couldn't figure out what was going on. He felt topsy-turvy because he was like he couldn't swim like you would normally because you float immediately. You're like a cork on top of the water. But it's really, really good for you. And then you get out and you slather the mud all over you. And then we do kind of a photo party with everybody uh, caked in mud. So it's really, really fun. And it's very, very good for you. So there's all of these resorts along the Dead Sea where people go and they do like a health retreat. So, like I said, I haven't been on the tour in a couple of years. So tell me about what are we doing for the Dead Sea now on the tour?
So we go to the lowest point on Earth. That's like the lowest surface ever. And we have a very cool place there. Will be in Kempinski or similar place. It's like a resort with a private beach. So you have your own private beach and you walk there whenever you want. Of course, you float because the lake is 33% water and minerals. So it's like baby oil pool. Seriously, very thick. And as you said, sometimes it's difficult to like for you to adjust yourself when you're in the water, like want to stand up or whatever, and you can't because you are floating seriously like a piece of wood. But it's very medicinal. It's excellent for your skin, different types of minerals, and also you use the mud, and it's excellent for your lungs. That area because it's very low, so the air is filled up with oxygen. It's packed up with oxygen 3 times than any other place. So it's excellent for your lungs and for your skin. So we call it a medicinal place. It's a very relaxing place.
Yeah, and these places along the Dead Sea like this, people will go for a month or something for their health if they have like chronic illness and they'll stay. So we go and we give it a try. And I think it's a lot of fun because it's just the experience of getting in the Dead Sea is so strange. But it's definitely one of the great experiences I think in travel to go in the Dead Sea. So, that's really what I love about this tour is that every single day we do something that you've always dreamed of, but you probably didn't know was in Jordan. Like, I mean, maybe people don't relate to the fact that the Dead Sea is in Jordan. And also, there's a lot of Bible history as well in Jordan. So, if you're interested in Bible history, but you don't feel comfortable going to Israel, Jordan is literally, you can see Israel from Jordan. And we have been going to Mount Nebo to see the mosaic. So, I think that the Bible history there is quite interesting as well, right?
So we'll visit Madaba where I live, and of course we'll see the city of Mosaic and we'll see the oldest map on Earth that was made from mosaic. It's inside the church that was built around 1,500 years ago. St. George Church. It's a very old here in Madaba. Madaba population is about 200,000 people, but maybe about 15% of them are from a Christian background. So it was a Christian city in the past. Even the Bishop of Jerusalem once in 515 AD was from Madaba. So we'll see a lot of cool stuff about the biblical history here, and also we'll go to Mount Nebo and see. We might see Jerusalem from Mount Nebo. We'll see Jordan River, the Jordanian Valley, Dead Sea from above, because Mount Nebo is like a high area. Of course, there's a church that we'll visit. It's not like a mountain to climb, It's a paved road. We walk for like about 7 minutes until we see the church. And then from there, we see the Dead Sea from above. The Dead Sea is like 400 meters below sea level, and we are like about 800 meters above sea level. Maybe we see Jericho, the oldest city on earth in Palestinian territories. It's a very fantastic place, actually. The view itself is breathtaking.
Yeah, so that's an interesting side note. I mean, I just keep like kind of insisting, but it's true that Jordan is just packed with layers, and you'll get a little taste of everything. So if you have been interested in doing like a pilgrimage or something to Israel or to the Holy Land, this is part of the Holy Land essentially. So it is really interesting to go there, and you get a little taste of that to see if that interests you, and you can continue on. But I just think that whole area is so beautiful, and it really does look like it's right out of a painting when you are standing on Mount Nebo and looking out there. It's out of a dream, really. Just beautifully, beautiful territory. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I think these are my favorite things about Jordan. I every time I think about it, it's just a highlight, something that's really one of the best things I've ever done in travel. And it's such a small country, but I mean, it's small, but it's also not small in the sense that it's about 3 hours to Petra, 2.5 hours from Amman. Is that right?
Yeah, so Jordan is about 100,000 square kilometers, which is like 60,000 square miles.
Yeah, so it's not a tiny place, but it's also by American standards, I guess we'll say it's not that big.
Of course. It's smaller than Greenland.
Well, this is the thing I always think is funny about Americans, because there's kind of a saying, but it's about Europe, but it really applies here as well. That for Americans, 100 miles is a short distance, but 100 years is a long time. But for Jordanians, 100 miles is a really long way, but 100 years is a very short time, right?
No, no.
I mean, I certainly can't trace my family back to, 80 BC. Like, I mean, I can go back to 1700, but that's about as far back as I can go. So the memory also is fascinating.
This is
So,
cool. Yeah.
yeah, it's really cool. So, you want to add anything, Andrew? Any other highlights for you?
So
Yeah, well, in Amman was the museum. I want to say it was like the car museum, and I know people are like what, but real. I mean, I'm not like that into cars, but really cool. But it has that Martian rover vehicle from the movie there, and I think other things from other movies. In fact, there are a bunch of vehicles there for movies I hadn't even seen before. So, like I love film stuff. So that was a really cool museum, and not so far, I think, from the hotel we were in the center of Amman. That was kind of something different.
that's the Royal Automobile Museum with like
Oh,
fancy cars from the 20s until now.
yeah, yeah, and that was great. So that was a nice surprise. Yeah, just the fact that you can be what on the Red Sea one day, and not Red Sea, on the is it Gulf of where are we the night before the Dead Sea?
Aqaba.
Aqaba, yeah.
Yeah, on that sea, and then all of a sudden it's like two seas in like 24 hours. And I think one is like what we're like 15 minutes away from Israel, then and then we get to the Dead Sea. You can see it from there and from Mount Nebo. So yeah, it's. I think like Sarah's right. There's a lot of stuff, but it's not so big because I don't remember any really long drives anywhere. But you're the next place you go to is very different than the place you came from. So that's nice. I mean, Petra and this place behind me, the Wadi Rum, very different. And then both of the places we're on the water are also very different. So it's a nice variety of things without having to go too far to get the variety.
Well, and to mention Aqaba, we didn't really talk about that. That is one of the stops on the tour. Aqaba is famous for scuba diving and snorkeling because it's a really great entry into the Red Sea. When we're on the tour, do people have a chance to go swimming, to go check out the water there?
So we don't have Aqaba in our itinerary because they will do scuba diving in Egypt, maybe. But
Oh, okay. Yeah, yes, of course,
what
because
happens is
we go to Hurghada. Yeah,
so when we go to Rum Valley, I
hmm
go from Aqaba Road. So I show people Aqaba and we buy ice cream in that city, and I
yeah.
show them the Dead Sea from that point, and then from there we drive to the Dead Sea.
Ah, okay, yeah. So we've rearranged, but Aqaba is really beautiful, and the Red Sea is just really super, super beautiful. So, and you do have the chance if you go on the Egypt tour, we go snorkeling in the Red Sea, which is really something very special. I'm a big snorkeler, so that's a highlight for me. So yeah, so I hope this has kind of helped you guys to wrap your mind a little bit around Jordan and all of the wonderful things to see there. Because for me, it is one of the most surprising places I've ever been. Just the richness of it and how much you can do. And we have a week there. It's 7 nights, and you will absolutely jam pack every single day full of something fascinating, but completely different from the thing before. It's like historically, we're doing different things in different timelines. We're doing different kinds of activities. So it's just the variety is really fascinating. And the Jordanian people are so incredibly welcoming. So, but my favorite thing about Jordan is you, Mohammed,
Thank you very
above
much.
all.
We miss you very much. We need to see you here soon.
I know I miss you too. So I'm going to definitely try to come by and hang out with you and Chef Wafa sometime soon. That's my goal for the year is at least to come for a few days to visit you guys. So
Sure.
yeah. So Andrew, any other thoughts before we finish?
Mohammed, sometime we need to do a deep dive because I know you know all this history so well, and I'm not gonna bore our viewers, but I want to know about Circassians helping to found modern day Amman. That's one of those weird little tangential history things I'm interested in because like these countries is great. There's people from all over the place, kind of in and out. It's and that's what I like. So there's all these like subcultures, if you will, with different ethnic minorities in these places, and I'm really interested in those things. So hopefully, when we meet, maybe this summer, then we can sit down and chit chat about some of this other history stuff. I want to learn more.
Sure, but the Circassians, they make about 2% of Jordanians.
Mm.
They came here around about 200 years ago, and they settled in like the north side of Amman because it looks like their land, by the way. A lot of water and woods and stuff. And by the way, the royal, now they became part of the Jordanian society, 2% of them. And of course, they speak Arabic fluently, but they speak their own language also.
Mm.
Jordanian passports, and they are the royal guards of the monarchy inside the palaces.
Oh, okay. I had heard about something like that. So anyway, if I think Mohammed's like any question or anything you might be interested in for this whole region, Mohammed's going to know the answer to, which is another reason why we love him so much.
If I don't know the answer, I'll make up one. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, and we'll buy it for sure. We're going to totally buy it.
Yeah, he's our personal Wikipedia, we think, but maybe I don't know.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I trust him more than AI right now.
Yeah, I would too. Well, I thank you so much, Mohammed, for joining us from Jordan. You are just always a delight, and I just want to remind everybody you can travel with Mohammed himself in Jordan this coming October. He is absolutely just fantastic to travel with, very fun, very educational, but you're going to see amazing things. So that's on our website live now, right, Andrew? The link is up already?
Yeah.
Okay,
we're working on
wait
it,
for me to post the link. I'll post the link on Facebook later this week once we have the link up. So that's a new addition
later
to our
later today for sure, folks.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So if you want to book a trip to go to Jordan, this is easily a standalone tour, but you could also combine it with Dubai. If you've never been to Dubai, you can easily fly through Dubai and then head back to Jordan. So that's an easy connection. Or Abu Dhabi, if you've ever wanted to do Abu Dhabi. You can also reach Jordan by way of Europe. You can fly through Amsterdam, for example. And we're pairing it with our Egypt tour. So if you were thinking about going to Egypt, this would be a great one to add on before, because they definitely will give you a very interesting view of the history of the Middle East. So that's we'll have that on our website. I will post that on Facebook so you guys have the link. And Andrew, thank you so much also for joining us from fake Wadi Rum, I guess.
Fake Wadi Rum. Hey, fake Wadi Rum is still better than a lot of places. So, I'm not apologizing.
Well, thanks for joining us, guys. And we're going to have more interesting stuff from Jordan later this week. We have a few fun videos that we want to share with you of Mohammed when he did a little tour guiding safari with Andrew a couple of years ago. They took some wonderful videos to give you a little bit more insight as to what you might want to see in Jordan. So thanks for joining us.
Awesome.
Jordan, thank you.
Yeah, always a pleasure. All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you again later this week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.